Welcome to the Conscious Creative Podcast, your weekly dose of soul-to-soul conversation that will have you saying peace out to your 9 to 5 to explore in your sacred calling. The topics center around conscious business and interviews with the folks who started them. We'll be exploring the art of being human and what it takes to live your life fully expressed and financially free. I'm Christina Gomes, and I went from high-paying job as a psychotherapist to leaving it all behind for my desire to travel the world playing my original music, to becoming the CEO and soulpreneur founder of freeyourcreativity.org, where I help visionary leaders create the businesses of their wildest dreams. If you have a sacred calling, stick around. My prayer is that you become the permission slip for the collective as you hear the soul-inspiring stories that call you forth into creative action. Let's get to the soul. I'm here with Kaira Mayestra, and she's going to be our guest today in the Client Spotlight series, talking about her amazing program. She came into my Elevated Mastermind a few months ago and met some dream business besties, and we had a great time. And I want to let her and invite her to share her story, because we met actually before I even do this. We met here on the lake, and I love when there's, because a lot of my clients ask like how to find clients, and I'm like everywhere, anywhere, like on a mountain. And we literally met on a mountain, and I saw so many gifts in you. And that's what's so beautiful is when we, the gifted ones, decide, hey, we're going to help people with real gifts. It's like an elevation of everything. It elevates our business. It elevated my energy to go out and decide I'm going to work with the most gifted among us. And when I decided that, then Kaira joined my program. And it's so amazing to be like, wow, we really get to work with who we want to work with. And we really get to lift each other up. We were talking about that. But why don't you share with our listeners how you got started and what you're up to in your business?
Yeah. So first of all, hello, everybody. I love this group so much, and I'm going to be sharing this on my group too. It's just really great to get in front of you and share this story because, yeah, it's amazing that we met the way that we did. It's funny, all the coaches that I've worked with, I've actually met in really weird ways in person first. And, I was doing some embodiment workshops at a little retreat center called Arco Isis down in Lake Atitlan. And it was, oh my gosh, just such a beautiful meeting of you and meeting of a kindred sister, because your music and the way that you were teaching vocal empowerment and really just like living your best life already made it so much more fun to watch your journey into entrepreneurship. So just as a little like addendum, that's how we met. My journey into entrepreneurship really started with trauma, as most of my story and the becoming of the Kaira Mayestra that you see before you really started out with this period of time in my mid-20s where life just fell apart and I had a full-blown psychological meltdown. And in that time, I had been working service industry jobs, really feeling like that was the only thing I could do to make money. And really stuck in the, like, I don't know, like most of my time was spent on personal development. I wasn't super into trying to create my dream income. That was a foreign idea to me. And when I went through this really bad breakup that, touched on a lot of childhood wounds and things, I just couldn't even work. I couldn't even work. I basically left and they also fired me. Like, they're like, don't even do your 2 weeks. Like, you need to get out of here. And I was just like, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I know that I can't show up every day smiling. And so what ended up happening was I started working just little odd jobs, and I ended up starting to clean for people. And then I ended up doing Airbnbs, like flipping Airbnbs and getting a business going like that. And then that really started to take off. And I was like, oh, I can just work for myself and make way more money and not be answering to anybody. And I heard you say once, you're like, I'm unemployable. And I feel so much the same way. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs and creatives are just like, we just do better when we have the reins and when we have the freedom and are really receiving the most benefit out of our own work, because it just feels like really synergistic in how it should be. So skipping forward a lot, I started working with the DMT medicine a little later on in my trauma healing journey. And through that, plant medicine began to notice a pattern for how trauma was leaving people's bodies. And in trying to come up with a modality that I could kind of do what the DMT was doing, but sober, I created what was essentially somatic experiencing. And then when I found somatic experiencing, I was like, that's it. Like, it has all the pieces. And so I got myself into a training, Peter Levine's Somatic Experiencing for Trauma Institute, which I really believe is the best school in the world. It's amazing. And I really wanted to eventually, not just work with trauma, but it became clear to me. I do want to say this. I know this is a little long-winded. I hope that's okay.
I'm here for it. We all are.
Great. I really hated the idea of being a coach. In Boulder is where I was living at the time, and there was like, everybody is a life coach. And I saw a lot of people out of integrity in that field, a lot of people charging way too much money for stuff that wasn't working. And really, it felt sleazy, like really a lot of pretending. And I was not about it. I had a lot of judgment about it. And then somebody was like, what's your trauma special? Like, heal my trauma in a month. What you got? Like, give me your program. And I was like, oh, this is what coaching is. It's just teaching. It's just putting together something that I feel really confident in teaching. And so I put together my first program. And then from there, started gathering pieces and really being like, actually, who do I want to work with? It's not, I learned my ideal client from that first program. I was like, well, I don't like working with these people. I love working with these people. So maybe that's now my target market, because I feel great after their sessions and I feel like I'm good at my job, which is a good indicator. And then again, just like putting together all the little pieces that it takes to start building a coaching model, and finding your program was like, it came along at the perfect time, because there's a lot of programs that teach energetics and a lot of programs that teach structure. And it's hard to find a program that does both really well. And I feel like that's where you and I both kind of shine, because we both do live in those worlds. We have very strong minds, and also we live in a very spiritual reality. Yeah. So the offer that I'm doing now is Somatic Entrepreneurship, and really it's teaching healers specifically, how to create high ticket offers and stop trading their time for money, but really utilizing the somatic experiencing. Like, yes, I'm going to give them a working knowledge of somatic experiencing, and people walk away knowing how to do this modality with their clients. But we also are using this modality to rewire the subconscious mind around their own success and around the things that really block people. We're always drawn to teach what we ourselves need the most. And there has been a lot of subconscious blocks that I have had to move past. And the body and somatics is just such an amazing language to move past that stuff, because we can't talk our way out of feeling anxious when we go to sell. We can learn a bunch of methods that kind of help with the anxiety, and we can work our way out of it in this masculine thought first kind of way. Or we can really just go into the body and start moving the blocks that are there and starting to understand the subconscious agreements that make it uncomfortable in the first place. So yeah, that was a very thorough response.
I love it. And that's what it's all about. When we, and this is where I help my clients, is just gaining the confidence to speak about what it is that they do in words that are relatable. So I understood. I think my folks out there understood. And what's really cool about your message is that right now I'm working with a few trauma healers, and they're going out there being like, I'm going to help you heal your automatic nervous system. And I'm like, like where like, and I know to be true that this is everything to heal. When I do the work, you should have seen me an hour before this call. I was like screaming at the leg, like doing all these things. And then I'm like, okay, muscle and like, that's what I do to make the space to come to and be present to my business. And that's what we get. Like, that is the benefit of being an entrepreneur. And like you saying, taking the reins of, like, I was doing my healing work an hour before this call, and I have structure in my day that I get to have the reins of, and say, oh, okay, just a bit of time in Shavasana. I came from the yogic world. Bit of time in Shavasana. This is what heals my ANS. And it's like, and then I'm more equipped to help people and to like tell them the truth that like ain't nobody knows what that means. You want people to buy your offer, tell them what's going to happen on the other side of healing their automatic nervous system around the somatics work. And now you are like all about somatics work. And so you have come up with an offer that has a result that is really profound when you actually do this work. And so you're going to take us through that work in your offer, and you're seeing how, and you are taking the reins of how messaging actually is the thing that gets your offer into the hands of who it's most meant to serve. And if we have all these skills, what's the point of having them if we don't help anyone with them?
Yeah. It's about weaving that narrative. And I think this really cool woman that was an inspiration in business to me, sometimes I just need people to really just like be penetrative as all get out with their message to me. And she was like, nobody knows what somatics is. Like, stop saying that. Like, somebody would be like, you tell me what you do. I love it. But if you were like, I teach somatics, I would be like, what? I wouldn't be interested. And that's when I kind of put together this idea that really framed it well in my head, which is that there are some parts of business that are all about you. And there are other parts they're not about you. They're just not. Like, in marketing is one of those pieces. It is not about you. It's not about what you think. It's not about your modality. People don't care what you do. They care what problem you're solving for them. That's all.
Yeah. And that's what they come knowing. I love that we're bringing this forward. This is exactly what I teach in the Conscious Creative Business Immersion. And you knowing that it helps us to feel safe in your program as well. It's like, we're actually going to get into the body around this. And it's like, it really is all the same. Like, when we feel safe to really sell our offers, then we can start actually creating a message that really works. But at the core of it, it's like, we will continue to self-sabotage and create and continue to do the things that don't work if we don't actually address the safety piece. So I'm like really stoked that your offer exists and that you're out there. And then I come in, swoop in, and help people talk to use people words. I know that we live in the astral. I know that you've been astral traveling. That's cool. I know that you know what the Akashic Records is, but like, exactly, what's in it for me? What's in it for me? Oh, you're going to help me find my soulmate love. I'm in. Okay. Here's all my money. Because I know inside, and we're all wise enough to know inside, that we're going to get the lessons that we need. That you're going to teach us how to, be in our body or, think different thoughts. And I teach people how to, a very specific thought model to move them from thoughts that are unhelpful into beliefs that live on a cellular level. That for me was the mindset piece, and having that repetition that was more than affirmations. But until I believed that I could own my too muchness, live in a big house, have all these great things, and until I really believed on a embodied level that this was my path, that I could create this myself for myself, I wasn't even taking the necessary steps.
Yeah, there was this really cool phenomenon, and it happened twice within the last year. The first time it happened, it was so weird. I feel a lot of things physically. Like, I've always been a very body sensation feeler. When I feel an emotion, I feel it physically, and that's just how I kind of tend towards. But I felt like the air was like compressing around me, and I just wanted to go inward. And it was days that I felt like this. And my partner was like, what the hell's wrong with you? Like, I feel like you're not even here. And I was like, I just need to be alone in the dark room for days. And it was really unlike me. And I allowed myself the space to do it. I let it happen. A lot of somatics is about like letting, allowing, trusting source, to really trusting your body, that it's designed to heal, that it's designed for inspiration, that it's designed to grow into your desires. And so I let it happen. And I came out of this portal with like, boom, like downloads, so fucking grounded, completely new relationship with presence and gratitude. And a muse was like coming through and kind of building out parts of my business. And it happened again recently where I felt this kind of contracted feeling. And I was like, I know what this means, like gearing up for a good time. And really, much like ayahuasca, it doesn't give you the medicine you want, it gives you the medicine you need. And instead, what happened was I gave myself that space to be alone for a couple days and really go internal. And I just found fountains of fear and shame and like things that I didn't know was there. But I was focusing my energy on my business on creating a better marketing funnel, creating a better marketing funnel. And I was just like, what is wrong with me that I can't seem to make progress with this? Like, why is it? Why is it? Why is it? And then this happens. And I was actually able to access, purge, and be with fear and shame around like, am I good enough? Do I deserve this? The next level up, which I think that never stops happening. There's always just another level up.
Mm-hmm.
And once that moved, I wasn't even trying anymore. And everything just became clear. And I was getting more done in 3 hours than I had done in 3 days. And that really is how it works, is if there's a block towards where you want to be, yes, we need frameworks. And it's kind of like, I teach people it's like cleaning a wound. You have to like get the mess out of the wound, and then you have to dress it with the bandages. And you might have to do it a couple times until all that infection is cleared and your body can heal. And emotional stuff is like that. You have to go in and purge out the fear and then layer on the mindset, the positive thoughts. And you can do that first. Whichever way you go, you're reaching the same equilibrium with your embodiment of your best self. So yeah, it was a really interesting thing. And I was like, this isn't how it's supposed to go. But I knew it was exactly what needed to happen too.
So fun. And what I'm noticing from this conversation is that awareness that we both have, that I help people in my programs, and we do as coaches, whether we call ourselves coaches, or we call ourselves astrologers, we call ourselves embodiment professionals. What I understand is that it really doesn't matter what we call ourselves. Exactly what we're speaking to is how intentionally do we put together this program to help people to get the result that they want. And as long as y'all care, then you can be a well-valued, high-valued coach. You can call yourself a guide. You can call yourself a moonwalker. Again, it does not matter, because what we need to speak out into the ethers is how our programs can help the people that we're most meant to help in this life. But what I was wanting to speak on is that awareness to oh, here's the framework. Here I'm coming to this framework. And like, if we grasp too hard on what anything's supposed to look like, then we miss the miracles. We miss the spontaneity. We miss actually being in our creative process. And that's where I began, was I knew that everyone had their own creative process. And if I could just help them identify what that was for them, then they could write a song in 5 minutes. That was one of my first offers. Another offer was live a life creatively expressed. And little did I know that was the first offer that would lead to my really writing the kind of content and sharing the kind of message that helps people to ignite desire in your world and your worldview and what it is that you do. So that creative and living that life and finding our voice kind of offer always led me, like you said, to that up-leveled offer. So I think what I'm really trying to say here is if y'all are aware that you want this, and you start kind of going down the rabbit hole of like, oh, what should I call myself? Or like, trying to deliver an expert, like when people say automatic nervous system, like I know that we're saying this because we are experts in what we do, or somatics, like you are the expert and you know what somatics is. And with one word, you have this full breath experience of all that it is and all that it could be. But right, our best people don't know. And you still can get known for, you're still going out there and getting known for somatics. And it's like, now the clarity of the way that you speak about your offer actually gets people the help they really want. And so I want to commend you. I just read over like what you do, and I was like, dang, that is clear as day. So I wanted you to share, beyond your beautiful talents and skills and all that you've acquired over your years, like what did you really have to do to ensure that, like how did your message get so clear?
It really took me longer than it would have if I had had the right guide that was going to penetrate the hell out of me. at the time that I needed it, at the time that I was open to it. So it really is an issue of like timing, I think, when we come across the inspirations that can take us to the next level. And I think we get better at catching our own rhythms with stuff, knowing when it's time to go internal, knowing when it's time to make a change. So I think for me, you know, it it was really hard because there are so many things that this work entails and so many things that we do. And even in this somatic entrepreneurship program, a ton of it is around communication, interpersonal relationship, and really becoming the woman or the man that has the life of our dreams. And there's also business structure. And there's also learning a working knowledge of somatics so that you can add it to your healing practice and amplify everything that you're doing. So it took me so long to like be like, how do I tell all of that in one story? But as much as I tried to come at it with my mind, what was actually beneath the resistance was a fear of being boxed in. It was thinking that if I did this, then I would actually be stuck there. And like you were kind of alluding to this, it's not how it works. When you decide you want to make money with your art, being creative, maybe picking a business model that might be able to scale, what you're doing is you're choosing a life where you get to be in charge of your income. You get to create income by being creative. And it's not, you're never going to box yourself in. You're only going to build your suite of offers. Maybe that thing that's a paid program this time is also part of a package that sweetens the deal on the next thing that's kind of like that, but not quite about it. Like everything, you're building pieces of a puzzle that then will become clear as you go. So starting where you're at is so, so, so important. And everybody goes through the same hurdles there. Everybody is like, am I good enough? Everybody is like, I don't know how to use this software. Everybody is like, you know, there's just so many like typical things. And niching out is one of those really, the things that creative people specifically and healers have a really hard time with. And I'm like, your desire gets to lead the whole way. Niching out is going to make it so that every person that you work with is somebody that leaves you like crying with joy and inspiration when you're done with that call. And it really is a path to freedom, even though it seems like you're boxing yourself in. So yeah, please just take the chance, whoever's watching this and thinking about starting your own business and taking this leap, like take it and trust life and trust yourself. And this is about so much more than your income. It's about so much more than a business and being an entrepreneur. It's about like learning how to get good at meeting the resistance that lives inside of yourself. It's about learning to grow as a soul and as like an interpersonal wizard in relating and communication. You're like everything about you is going to amplify in this process of deciding to become what you desire to become. So it's just so beautiful.
Yeah, and it is so real. So I often speak on this idea of devotion over discipline, because when I would see someone who had the 10K months and see someone with the life that I live now, I would automatically separate myself from them and go, well, they must be hustling. Or, you know, and I know we're both talking about like this resistance to being a coach. And I just saw this like meme come through the ethers that I almost said it again. All my DJ friends started sharing. And I was like, all my same DJ friends that were like, dang, like, I remember when you were broke on a mountain, like you really did something with yourself. And it was because I took a chance, but I had to face still to this day that like, people not understanding. And so what I'm hearing from both of us is that when you have a desire and you are willing to face the lack of understanding, face the moments of like, this doesn't make sense, to get to the thing that makes sense for you and for the people on the other side of the sales conversation, so that they get inside your program, not just so that you can have 10K months, but so you can actually make the change that you're meant to make in this life. We're all born for really this higher mission. And so the more money I make and the more expensive my house gets and the more wet food I get to buy for my cats so they love me, It's just like the better I feel, and this energy keeps rising and it keeps rising. Where yeah, can I say that that meme didn't touch on me? But if it only touched on me because I'm not fully owning that I wasn't even owning the word coach because of this collective fear that I
Yeah.
sometimes feel. So really coming back, my programs are about coming back in tune to what your, like you said, your desires get to lead the way.
Yeah.
And when we get into each other's vortex, just like this conversation, where we are swirling in this energy field, and the folks in my group, they're so lucky that they get to witness this conversation of two chicas giving one-off workshops in a mountain, broke mountain. I'm not going to call it broke back mountain, but I'll call it broke mountain. I was broke on that mountain. So like living in a tent, it's like, nah, 3 years, not even 2 years, I'm up in my mansion, and then faced with that up level of like owning that I am self-made, that I did this for myself, and I am the best person to teach just my kind of people. Hey there, visionary leader. If you're resonating with this message, I'd like to invite you into your next level life and business. Enrollment has begun for the Conscious Creative Business Immersion. This is my signature group container to help you design an offer so delicious, so juicy, so based on your soul gifts that you are thrilled to invite your soulmate clients inside of it. I'm going to teach you how to promote this offer with a ton of heart and to sell out this offer with ease to meet your revenue goals. I would love to have you inside if you are a visionary leader who knows that they are great at what they do. You'd like to collapse the timeline on how long it takes to reach consistent income with an offer that you truly love. Go to the link in the show notes to apply for the Conscious Creative Business Immersion. I will be sitting with your application individually, and I will send an email to let you know if you've been accepted in a few days after application. Thank you for trusting me with your vision, and I can't wait to see what we co-create. So in that, I wanted to ask, who are your kind of people so that they can hear your call? Because I know that there's this special thing that I'm hearing that many people want, is this added level of skill in somatics, this added level of skill of being able to add that to their practice. That's really enticing.
Yeah. One thing that I did want to say is that it's cool that I can now really claim that I teach somatics, because I've realized that my target market is people that know the word.
Yeah.
My target market is people that understand what embodiment is. They've heard somatics, maybe even just in offhanded ways, and they have an idea about it that might not be fully right, but they know what it is, kind of. And my people tend to be women that are super talented healers that feel like they need another goddamn training. Sorry, if it's okay that I swear.
Yeah.
I've like stopped myself like 3 times. I swear in my program too. I swear in my videos. I'm like, just whatever. But it's people that, like, women specifically, that they feel like they need another training. They feel like they're not good enough yet. They're clearly just blocked and getting in their own way. But it's funny because though that's like the main heart of what we really weed out, that's not as enticing of a message for people to buy as you will learn a working knowledge of somatic therapy to do with your clients. People are buying the result, not necessarily the full transformation. The full they come for the somatics, but they leave with like, holy shit, it was about so much more. And that's what my clients keep saying. They're like, I get it now. I thought that in order to have this, like, I needed to have this before I was this person. And now I recognize that it was about being this person so I could then have it. And that's like the major shift that starts taking place. So really just women that are feeling blocked, but know that they're powerful, know that they're here to do something big. And I love what you said, desire before drive or discipline.
Devotion over discipline. Ooh,
Devotion over discipline. This is so key, because say this is a great example in working with Kajabi, which is the platform that I've chosen to host my coaching program. I was so intimidated, obscenely intimidated, like a silly amount of feeling like this was going to be hard. And I was like, don't force yourself. It gets to be easy. It gets to be easy. It gets to be easy. My business gets to be easy. And I get to be the person who my business is easy for. And I just kept living in that story. And then one day I was like, I wonder if I could just figure out like this little piece. And then I figured out like half of what I needed to know that I thought would take me weeks. But if I had pushed myself to like find it and I wasn't in that energy of it being easy, I could have slugged along for like 3 weeks trying to figure out one thing. I know that that's what could have happened. And instead I just was the person who it got to be easy for. And then it just became easy. And now it's a software that I love to use. And I think it's super intuitive. This really is how it, what all the work centers around. And I think you do a great job going into that in your program. Again, that mix of spirit and structure, because you really do touch on that first. This is who you need to be. Let's work on your thoughts before you dive into this. Let's work on like this stuff. And I just think that's so important. That's the creme de la creme.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Exactly. I love each other's programs. This is fun. What else do we want to say nice to each other? So, so fun.
It's true. I just like, because I've got a really great example. Shay Sundara was another one of my coaches. Huge major shout out to her. I got so much out of her program Field Channel Receive, which was about creating a coaching offer. And the structure of it didn't hit with me. The way that she explained it, I was just like, I don't feel like I got anything structure-wise out of this. Some people did, not me. But I got an energetic download that fully sent me on my path and was so valuable. And then I had another coaching program, which was all structure and no energetics at all. And so I got like these both ends of the spectrum. And I realized that in a business coaching container, you really do need both if you are this kind of person.
I love that. And I love how like we can't now when we're offering our offers, that is how we become unique, is we really focus in on what our gifts. What's our gift? But I think that is both of our gifts, is this weaving of the, I want to say masculine and feminine, but it's like this directive and receptive. We do need both. And that it has been through my yogic journey, this weaving of hatha yoga and really integrating the masculine and feminine, the parts of me that are driven and purpose driven, and the parts of me that's like, sit butt naked in the sun and earn money. It's like, one is not possible without the other. And I will, like those people who are like, actually just sit butt naked in the sun and money comes. I'm like, well, maybe I should take their program, because I do have to set a structure, set my calendar. But what's been the beauty of it all is it is my calendar. It is my structure. And so we always have the reins, like you said, and that piece of being self-sufficient, self-reliant, self-dedicated, dedicated to the self, because these practices, these rituals that I do in my business every day are their devotional ritual self-care practices. Because when I was sitting in the forest floor of Oregon going like, dang, I wish I could afford whatever I wanted. I mean, I have all these gifts. I got a master's degree for fractal sake, and I can't get it together. And it was only because, there was a lot of belief to work through. And when I actually just said, I'm going to do one thing at a time, I'm going to say, I can do this. I'm going to say, I'm not a disciplined person, but I am devoted. When you lock me in an ashram for a month, beautiful things happen, but I had to lock myself in an ashram for a month. So this is how I do my business, is I have created the space. But how did I afford the space? When I came down off the mountain with Arco Isis from you, I was like, this is it. There's a line in the sand. I am never working for someone else again. I am unemployable. This is the energetic download that people get in my space, and why they're attracted to me, what makes me unique. And here's all the little things that I did along the way, but nothing will compare to this line that I drew in the sand. I said, I don't care what I got to do to figure it out. I want to work 20 hours a week with lakeside. Look, I want to have a pool And this is what my desires are holy, and they will come. They will come.
Ooh,
but with my son to the sun, my butt to the sun, sure. But that's not why I make 10K months, is because I have a message and an offer that I intentionally put together for beautiful people to move through and gain their own gain whatever they want from it. Because some people will get the energetic download. Some people will get just one nugget of wisdom that changes their whole outlook and makes them 10K way faster than they thought was possible for them. That was
I love it. There's so much wisdom in this idea of this being a custom built life. And I realized that when I realized like my resistance to being a coach, I was like, my resistance to that is resistance to a fully customizable business model that has no glass ceiling. Like, this is a dumb thing to have resistance to. Like, let's just like own it and love it and be into it, and know that like the things that we don't like about, the coaching industry are probably going to fade away when we fully embody and just focus on what we love about it. And there's so much to love. This is really cool. So I encourage people to come up with their own solutions. I really love Melanie Onlayer's, quote of she who leads herself. And so I encourage people, I give them like prompts to come up with their own solutions to getting into their unconscious mind, because it is a path, it is a journey we take ourselves. And we can be inspired, and we can choose coaches that feel aligned, and we can choose programs that our soul is saying yes to, but ultimately it's us against us. It's us going at the pace that we set for ourselves. We can make things real hard, or we can make them real easy. And there was a practice that I did. I love myth and lore and stories, like storytelling. I think it's just what we're made of. And so at one point I was like, why don't I write a myth about how my business is going to go, and like what I need to know for the next piece of my business. And I started with a story that I had already had that actually ended up coming true. I had this idea that in a past life, I was like this gypsy healer woman, and I would go around to the different towns, and I would have the really eclectic different medicines that they didn't have in their regions. And then me and my partner bought a box truck and started doing psychedelic facilitation across the country. And I was like, oh my God, I'm that woman. I just like made myself the myth. And so I decided to take that myth and write it out further. And it was about her finding this alchemical medicine that she created that could dissolve anything. It could dissolve war and show you peace. It could dissolve heartache and show you opportunity. It could dissolve hate and show you love. And it could dissolve anything. And she was like, wow, the world really needs this. But it only worked if people made it with their own hands. And wow, it just like gets me. It really, really gets me. Because that is like, it is so true. Nobody is going to do this for you. And so the myth went on. She took it to the heart of the world in the north, and it has these interactions with the fates and finds this door to the heart of the world. And on it, she finally like breaks through the patterns of time and space and sees herself on the other side of it. And it became a narrative about really finding the authentic self within my mission, and letting myself make it my own, and letting myself make it my own way, whatever way I decided it got to be. And that's when my business started working. It's like this, nobody is going to be able to tell you the right way to do it for yourself. You'll know the pieces that need to be put in when you're ready, as long as you're not like subconsciously sabotaging. You're just going to find your way to it. And even if you are subconsciously sabotaging, if you have a stronger story that says, this is going to happen no matter what, this is what success looks like. Oh, right now it looks like this block, like this is my story of success. And if that's the stronger story, it will win.
Yeah, I love that. The success story. And that's how it is. It's like, when I was sitting in the studio, like I felt successful before I got this house. Now this house is new. Like you can see, it's big, it's beautiful. It's like there's so much content to be shared around this, and yet it's for me. And yet I made 100K in a year before I moved into this house. Like I felt successful. I called in those clients with my confidence that I could help them because I can. And when you have a business that is based on serving people, it's like the pieces will fall into place. And yes, I will teach you in the Conscious Creative Business Immersion how to have an ecosystem of conscious content, where to share, how to share it, the how-tos of things for sure. But if you're looking for the how-tos and you are forgetting that it is she who leads herself, it is through your own creative hands, and you're waiting for the perfect strategy to fall in your lap. This is the myth that I busted up in my 5 Myth Live today. But I was like, you're just gonna be waiting. You're gonna wait. If I had waited I can't wait for the house to appear before I feel successful. I gotta start making the things and putting out the offers and helping people, and then helping people even deeper, and helping people where I was at. Helping people 5 years ago looked a lot different than helping people today. And that's what I want to offer. And that's what I'm hearing from your beautiful stories, that you start where you're at, start making something. You build something and it becomes the foundation of your legacy. Your legacy isn't built, oftentimes on the first offer.
Yeah. That is so true. And I've noticed that with a lot of coaches. The thing that they started with is not the thing that made them super successful. It's what built the skills for the next thing to come through, and made them an energetic match to receiving that next download. There was, you had said before about this is about so much more than just the money, the house, the fame, whatever it is that you want, which I'm not shaming any of that. I actually love the idea of being famous. I love the idea of having a big house, love the idea of having money. Let's all do it for each other. Yes. Let's all do it together. But there was a moment, like there does need to be, in order to really move you through, there needs to be a connection to this really deep why. And so that you can start being that person right now. And with mine, like it came through and I was like, I started bawling. It was such an energetic morning. There was breath work, there was yoga, there was downloads coming through, and I was just like in a spiral of energy, and it was like heaven on earth. I believe heaven on earth is possible. And I believe heaven on earth is built one body at a time. We build it in our relationships, in our nervous system, in our finances, in our communities. Like we build it one body at a time. And the more bodies that we have, the more our culture shifts, because the culture is just built out of individuals, and our laws and our world and our planet will reflect it when people are living in harmony with their own deepest truths. And so somatics, this is what I really want to tell anybody that doesn't know really what somatics is. Somatics is a language to help you speak to your unconscious mind. It helps us have a direct conversation in the best way that we know how. This is a plant medicine based modality, and I could talk about that some other time, but it really does allow us to gain access to a direct conversation with where our long-term memory is stored, where our beliefs about life, about ourselves, about money, about everything are actually held. And it's informing the body responses to everything. So what you're saying when you're like, I needed to feel successful before this house came, that's an inner posture that you practiced, and you taught your unconscious mind new beliefs. You taught it a new wiring so that you were successful on autopilot. That's who you became, and you practiced a new personality to get yourself there. That's why this work is so much more than about the things that I thought it might be about when I started. It's about becoming the person who can hold the frequency of heaven on earth. And that means trusting your desires, because your desires you didn't choose them. Like God gave them to you. You were actually given your desires, and you can choose to act upon them in ways that feel like love. And we oftentimes really want money in a big house for the people that we love, but for some reason for ourselves, that's like, no, healers shouldn't want that. That's not an integrity. That's shallow, whatever it is. And I'm like, let's just take a good long look at these beliefs until we can see how ridiculous they are.
Yeah. Oh, I love that, because, even though I'm a coach to help people with this exact problem, this is the coaching that I received from my coach. And this is the conversation we're having right now. So I want to just offer to anybody, it's not like I am gloating. And if I want to gloat, I will mother truck and gloat because I but there's been a few weeks of just sitting in this whole house. Yeah, just like letting the somatics, letting the subconscious mind catch up with the beauty that is my life, that I got to create myself because I believed that it was possible and I had the support of other people. And it's like when we support each other, we're also getting the support of our of our guides, and our guides are connected. And yes, our guides are unseen guides, but our guide, like my mentor is moving through you. This conversation will move through me forever. Our conversations we had on the top of the mountain, on broke mountain for me. I mean, I wasn't making any money up.
I was pretty broke when I met you too. So we were both broke on that mountain.
Everybody was broke. We were sharing our gifts. Yeah. And then we realized, hey, wait, we don't have to be broke. Like, we have gifts. We have talent.
It's actually a choice.
We have presence. We don't have to be broke. And it was that breaking of the pattern that allowed me to actually not be broke anymore. Like, when we think of that word, like broke, like, we're never really broken. We're never even really poor. It all begins in the mind, in our perspective, and lands in our body and exudes through our cells. So it's like, yeah, like me owning my queendom, me owning my gifts is a permission slip for others. And so, yeah, full permission. And so thank you also, because you have always been someone in my realm that owned their gifts, that owned their voice, that shared their voice freely with people. And that person that, when we go, oh, I'd like to call in a dream client. You hear all these coaches, me included. I want a dream client. Well, what's a dream client? What's the difference between a dream client and a not dream client? You'll know when you know. And when you start to
It'll be really obvious. It'll be super obvious. Just wait.
Yeah, everybody's great, but you'll know when you know, and then you'll call one of us and go, oh yeah, now I know. And it's like, right, when you start to up level who you're like ready to call in. And then it's like the universe sends you an old friend that's like, oh, well, it's a nod of like, oh, I have become an energetic match for exactly what I said I wanted. And so it is all energetics. And beyond that, you're also going to leave my container with the offer and the way to speak about it. We got to have both. Mm-hmm. But I want
the structure of anything that you need to go into to like make it happen.
Yeah. And I wanted to ask, what will they leave from your offer and the spiritual entrepreneurship offer? If you want to talk about that, and we can wrap up this beautiful. I mean, I could talk to you for days, but
wrap up. I know it feels so good to just catch up.
Yeah, and I'd like to hear and have these people be our people, know how they can join you on the journey of somatic entrepreneurship.
Absolutely. So first of all, right in my Instagram right now is a little video explaining what somatics is, and an opportunity to go and check out the landing page for Somatic Entrepreneurship. We begin the 1st of May. It's a 3-month program. And a ton of videos, live recorded material, live group classes, and one-on-ones as well. So there's a one-on-one component and a group component. And people will leave it with a real deep embodied understanding of somatic therapy, how to use this therapy in their other modalities, how to use it as a psychedelic facilitator, as a hypnotherapist, as an herbalist, as a businesswoman that just like wants to have better relationships. You're going to understand somatic experiencing and the language of talking to your own unconscious or talking to another person's unconscious, purging trauma, tracking fight or flight. You're going to know so much about trauma. It's like a full trauma training. And again, trauma is really just the agreements that our body has made with life and being able to rewire them. So whether that's I'm getting triggered in an argument because my partner's walking away from me and I feel like I'm going to die, we can rewire those responses. And we can also rewire the responses that, when I go to sell something, I feel sleazy. Like we can rewire all of it. So a total working knowledge of somatics, everything you need to package and begin selling a high ticket offer. It's actually going to make you a lucrative amount of money to live off of and begin building your skills as a coach and using a different business model than just trading your time for money.
Oh,
Those are
I
the two
love
main things.
that.
But again, most of it, the real creme de la creme is learning a systematic way to start being the person who has the life that you want.
Ah, I love that so much. And having the languaging to help other people and make an impact. Like what I'm noticing of like, oh, what's calling me to your offer is it's like we can't put out offers with what we have. And when we become the person that up levels our skills, that is, becomes, yeah, if we're trauma informed, stays in that and keep up leveling our skills and keep, yeah, add to our breadth of knowledge, not get a whole new certification, but just continue to have more and more tools, because that's what coaching is. It's not like each tool that I offer someone will be different depending on who they are. It could be the same question and it'll be two different people, and there's going to be a different tool. There's going to be a different teaching. There's going to be a different way that I hold space. Some people I'll just let them ramble on because I know that they haven't had their voice heard. And then other people I stop them, I'm like, nah, not going there today. End of it. Like here's a reframe. And it's about like being intuitive, and I can imagine that somatic experiencing and them doing that for themselves, they really get to see like what it's like to really hold space at a new level to help their own clients get deep and long lasting transformation and change. So I just wanted to add that to like, right. It's like when we're confident in what we do, and we talk about it in more confident ways and we make more sales, but we gotta be confident in what we do. And we're already so good at what we do, but I feel also like being guided, like me just being in my mentorship program and just being there every week and just being amongst people. I'm like, oh, I'm just staying up leveling my skills, being that person where that self-development is at the root and the heart of what it is that I do. And that's a magnetic energy. So that was a lot, but
I love it. I'm so picking up what you're putting down.
Yeah, so many beautiful results can come from your offer. And so let them know how they can reach out to you if they want to take you up on this offer.
Instagram is a really great place to get a hold of me. I've just started to build a Facebook group called the Divine Feminine Agency, which you can find me there. And I am starting to do lives every Thursday that are teaching, coaching. Feel free to collaborate. I'm really excited to get more interaction in the group so people can tell me what they really want to know. It's a really beautiful guiding light to have your audience interacting in that way. But Instagram is the main place, and it's just my name, Kaira Mayestra.
Perfect. Super easy. And I just want to thank you for your time, for talking to me, for all of the experience. Wow. I just got downloaded with different moments that we've spent together to watch each other grow and expand and be that living embodiment of inspiration, but more like we can inspire each other all ding dang day. But when you have an offer that really helps people, that invites them to their next level life, that's really, yeah, I'm really so excited.
My last little sign off note is that if you are a coach, a healer, a creative who is thinking about getting into a business model that can flourish, who is thinking that you would like to make more money, this path is so good. It is so good. I remember what it was like to work and feel exhausted afterwards, and now it's my joy. I love to work. I love to meet with my clients. I become friends with my clients. I'm charging a price point that allows me the emotional space to really be invested in people's process. And it is such a pleasure to work with people that you love to work with. It's such a pleasure and it's within your control to build this life for yourself. So I just am so grateful for you for being one of my amazing mentors on this journey and building such a helpful program to really empower me in the logistics and in the spiritual aspects of this growth journey.
Oh, thank you so much. And yes, thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being you. And yeah, we'll reach out so soon. Let's do another one of these. I'll go on your
Love it.
group. Let's keep trading
Yeah.
voices.
I was thinking about starting a podcast. We'll see. We'll see if it happens.
Exactly. Well, I just want to say that your voice has really touched the soul of me today. And so thank you for that. At the very core of everything, exactly. This path is amazing. And for me, it's about this. It's about having the opportunity to share our voices and make change. I hope people buy your program. I hope people buy my program. And I know that by the both of us rising in our power and having this conversation, how many lovely people are served, how many lovely people are inspired and start to choose themselves and draw that line in the sand, work for themselves and go through the motions of like, we got to invest in ourselves. It's scary. Then we come to a new level. Then we invest in ourselves. It's scary. We go to contraction. We open to miracles. It is all the process. And you might as well do it with one of us or both of us in your corner so that you can feel what it's like to be supported and you are the best support for your people. So thanks again, Kaira, and we'll talk so
so
soon.
much. Okay.
Bye.